Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations.
Well done for being so brilliant. Let me, I'm going to run through a few things.
45 minutes, is that right?
No. I mean, to be honest, I haven't got 45 minutes in me to do questions. I think we're lucky if we make 20, guys, and then we can all go and have a drink. But let's talk about the fantastic year that you've had. As we've talked about, it's also, look, I appreciate it is around the team, but those tactics and strategies that you put in place are really important. Karen, I'll start with you here. You mentioned, obviously, it's been a really tough year, and it was obviously especially tough for cinema, very tough for everyone, but we seem to be coming out of it now, and talk us through how you outlined that vision to make sure that DCM came out on a better side.
So I think I'm going to talk about people. And one of the things we committed to was that when we were building back, we wanted to build back differently. And so we made a commitment to employ 50% of our new people, and we took on just over sort of 33 people. We're going to be, we didn't have half a person, but we wanted 50% to be from outside the industry. And what we realised was that takes quite a lot of hard work. You've got to look in different places. You've got to accept that people are going to be different. And I think one of our big learnings was I'm a real believer in culture. I'm a real believer in that strategy or culture can drive your strategy. But what I've realised now is if you want a diverse workplace, you need a mixed culture. But more importantly, you need one vision. So you need a mixed culture, but you need one vision. And you've got to accept that people can be different. And I think that's something quite different to what the industry has always done. We've always talked about culture being one thing and everyone working in one culture, and I just don't believe that anymore. I believe that what you need to work hard at is explaining your one vision and giving your people a clear set of values and a vision, and then accept people will do that in a different way.
And anyone else kind of want to pick up on that, where that resonates, and that one vision piece? Duncan, I can see you sitting at the end.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think it's obviously really, really important to have clarity of where you're going and consistency. So agree with all of those points. I think the industry continues to get more and more complex. I mean, we as a media company, we see that because we're working across 9 different platforms in multiple markets. So our biggest challenge is often how can we simplify what we offer, because there's so many things. So that's a big challenge. So a lot of the work that we do is around simplification, making ourselves an easy partner to do business with, and it's a continuous challenge that never ends, because problems and challenges and opportunities crop up every 5 minutes. So you've got to be able to adapt, but really understand what's important, where you're going, so your teams can make those decisions along the way effectively.
And the results were there for you in Bloomberg. You had your highest employee engagement scores ever. So what was it? There was a piece in there I was reading about retaining top talent. How important is that, and how difficult is that?
So obviously it's really, really difficult and challenging. That then, for us, I think it comes back to the culture piece. I mean, we talk a lot about trying to create an environment where everyone can come into work feeling energised, motivated, and want to be there, and making sure that we are creating also a business that supports and encourages development and provides that. So, I mean, we're lucky in our organisation. There's incredible resources for everyone to learn, but doing that alongside the day-to-day challenges of work is really difficult. So, I think those elements are important. We're getting some of those things right, but we've still got a long way to go. So, it's the challenge definitely never ends.
Yeah. And Nadine, we saw obviously from the numbers up on the screen, 92% of the team have strong trust in the agency's leadership, and I know everyone here will say it is about the people, but that's important, right? The vision that's addressed from the top needs to filter down. So how did you go about getting such a high score and such trust with the people across the agency?
I think partly it is about having the single vision, and you saw bravery written up there. We talk about bravery a lot, and I think when we about 3 years ago or so, we unveiled internally a new direction, and I haven't seen you for years. Sorry. Oh my God.
This is your life. We're about to bring out the red book.
We unveiled a new vision, which was around smarter, faster, braver, and a quite specific data thing and an agile thing. But bravery really resonated internally, and it was a Zoom call. It was on lockdown, so we are cascading this to hundreds of people online, and inboxes were flooded afterwards with "we love it, we get it," because when you've been brave. That's a really personal thing, and it takes it away from the jargon and the product, and everyone wants to feel like they've got an opportunity to sort of just be a bit, go a bit beyond. So bravery is, speak on a panel for the first time, like write for the trade press, you've never done that before, work on a pitch for the first time, challenge a client brief for the first time. You can be brave at any level, which is why leadership can come at any level, and we just hammer that message home that you have the potential to be whatever you want to be. But in terms of the trust number, I think it's just about also being really visible and just having a bit of a laugh. So our monthly town halls, all of that sort of stuff is just quite informal and all just very. The team generally are just really approachable and just have a bit of a laugh with it. But so it's a combination of having that clear North Star and then just being kind of getting stuck in and working with the teams, I think.
And that North Star vision came across in your entry as well, Damon. You shared a very clear North Star vision for Ozone to power the global premium display marketplace digital ecosystem that delivers better for publishers, advertisers and clients. So that sounds great when you put it down, but then how do you make sure that the team buy into that and believe it and make sure that they're following that path?
I think probably most importantly, everyone living and breathing and believing in it right from all the way through the business. So I guess if management and the people running the sort of senior team really believe in the purpose and what we're trying to achieve, then that flows down and it becomes infectious and everyone else buys into it. And I think that's it's an easy thing because we all do believe it. So it's easy to kind of maintain it and support it and develop it. But I don't think there's a single person, whether it's an engineer in Poland or it's one of the management team here in London or some of our people in the US. Everyone lives and breathes our purpose and our North Star. So in that way, I think it's quite easy to, point everyone in one direction. I think to Karen's point, what everyone probably struggles with, and we still do, is how that's interpreted in terms of ways of working and trying to build a team and a culture. And I wouldn't say we've got it perfect. I think it's getting better. But engineers and product people don't necessarily like coming into the office. They like it being quiet, whereas commercial people like being, a bit noisy and a bit more sort of brash. So trying to balance that out for everyone, but still maintain a thread and a common theme, I guess, is important. And over time, whether it's hybrid working in the office or remote, it's a matter of just getting it right.
And Louise, obviously you come up from slightly different positions. You're our future leader, so one day this will be all yours, Louise. But from where you sit then in the organisation, obviously the role that you do, how important is that piece that we're talking about here, that vision, that clarity? How does that filter down? How does that make you feel then when you're part of that team and working towards that?
It's incredibly important. And one of the great things about PhD is I think they're quite consultative in their approach to building the vision, checking the vision over time. Last year, my team was involved in conducting research within the agency to see whether our values were still fit for purpose, and that was something that was communicated back to the agency, and we all have an opportunity to take our own interpretation of those values in each of our individual roles. So I think that's a really powerful way. It's a way of democratising direction and empowering, the wider agency to bring, what they have to offer to meet that, that overall vision. And I think that's something that we're both, personally, I feel quite involved in on a personal level, but also in my role.
If anyone has any questions that they want to put to the leaders on stage, please do put your hand up and let us know, and we'll get a mic over to you. I thought I'd probably do that really annoying thing where I just ask, those classic leadership questions as well, just to put you really under the spotlight. And, obviously I did my homework. I Googled about 15 minutes before coming in here, realising I probably didn't have enough questions to ask everyone. So one of the things that, that classic question, and for everyone, for that, I guess in that Future 100 club in particular, that are striving for that top seat, in your opinion, what is the most important skill for leaders to have? And I will try and, just give you a bit of time just to let that filter through.
Can I go?
Yes, please.
So I think it's just remembering how you felt 20 years ago or 30 years ago when you started in the industry, and not ever losing sight of what it was like when you were told you can't have that pay rise or you can't get a promotion until next year, even though to you it felt completely like that wasn't reasonable. And I think it's quite easy, if you don't do that, to just fall into this leadership thing where you're just disconnected from everyone else. So I always said, as I was progressing in my career, things that inspired me from my bosses or things that really pissed me off from my bosses that I would never forget. Same as you do with your parents, right? I'll never do that when I have kids. And just to try and hang on to that. So I do that really often. I always check myself whenever someone who's 25 comes to me and says, I've got a problem because, I try and remember when I was 25, how did I feel about being given an answer, well, holding company says no, or whatever it happens to be. There's a better way to answer those questions if you empathise with how that feels. That's my thing.
I would add to that, I totally agree, which is listening. Do a lot of listening and time your feedback. There's nothing worse, is there, than you've done something and then your boss immediately goes, yeah, but, even if it is, leave it 24 hours. Let that person have a moment, because it can be really demoralising.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
So I guess complementing that, because I agree everything so far, is be fun. There's a real kind of preoccupation with work just being a bit serious and dull, but it's important that people want to turn up and want to be there. So that's my one. The other one is pick the right moments to either lead from the front or let others go through, and understanding when the right moment is important.
Louise.
I suppose building on what Karen has said, I think listening is just really core, and ultimately just being approachable, because that's where you're going to get feedback and insight into what other people are thinking, feeling, and doing.
There's a bit of a theme going on, but the word that I had in mind, and I think you might have even posted it this morning, Steve, was reflection, which kind of links into all of the above. I think it's being open and honest, but also reflecting on what's happened and seeing it from other people's views and making sure that you understand that, so you've got a broad understanding from across the organisation of how things are being received.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions that they want to put out? Yes, Marco.
We can hear.
I don't need to shout. It's sort of in the same theme, but I'm interested in how do you? I think this is a reasonably safe space, but when you talk to other kind of senior leaders around the place, it seems like everyone talks about the younger teams. They're different today. It's not the same, and it's similar to your parent comment. I don't know if it's true or not true, but how do you work out how best to treat, talk to, keep your finger on the pulse, understand, the younger generations coming up through the teams? What are your own tactics for staying in touch, I guess?
I just think you just need that, making a coffee with someone and having a chat, kind of serendipity moments without overplaying it. It's not about ideas. We talk a lot about, the flexible working is obviously great for all of us, and we're not tied to 9 to 5, which is brilliant. But me being at home when it suits me and being able to put the washing on when it suits me does great for Karen Stacey. me hanging about in making a cup of coffee and chatting to an assistant for 20 minutes, really great for them and really great for DCM. And I just think we just need to balance that too. And so so going to the office when I don't need to is where you'll get that 20 minutes. And I just think we have a duty to our people to help them make a better future. So I'd urge managers to be, thinking about how they're helping others.
Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, so I guess one word I'd use, which I think is similar, is accessible, again. So if you're getting coffee and you have a chat and whatever, but at the same time, as I've got older, I'm not going to go to the pub every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night and get drunk with everyone, because I'm just not going to do that anymore. But what's interesting this year is we've started to do a lot more, I'm going to call it mentoring, but it's actually more just transfer of knowledge between more experienced people in the business and more junior people in the business. And so I guess the common thread in that case is just learning and development. And I think that's had a really positive impact generally. People are sharing experience a lot more than what they probably did before. And it sort of helps to break down, I guess, the barriers between different age groups.
Can I just add one thing? Because I think when I've talked to people about this, they think it's quite interesting. So if anyone wanted to steal the idea, we have a kind of initiative within Starcom which we call Future Leaders, where we have someone who is sort of middle of their, middle level, sort of manager, AD sort of level, who will join our leadership meetings for a period of time, and it kind of rotates sort of a six-week period. So they join our leadership meetings. Everything is sort of fully transparent, nothing's censored or edited, and they input. So I can't possibly know what's interesting actually or motivating to a 25-year-old, but they then can form part of our conversation to say, I don't think that will resonate with the team, or I can do better, or let me pick this one up with some peers and get back to you. So that's been a really sort of interesting way to give people access, also take away some of the mystery of the leadership team and what are we talking about behind closed doors, where people can just, and they're fully encouraged, like, go back and tell your mates what we're talking about. There's nothing sinister here, and they all just feel much more invested in the agencies. That's been really successful. I actually stole it off a friend of mine who works in a completely different industry. So if anyone wanted to steal that, I'd really encourage it.
Lindsay.
Lindsay from Newbox. I don't know if this is true, but I read somewhere that I don't know if this is true, but I read somewhere that what characterised a leader was they're most influenced by the attributes of your very first manager. So I don't know if that's true or not. So can you think back, without breaking any confidences, obviously, and that can be positive or negative, can't it? Because it can be like, well, I'm not going to be like that, or, oh, that's really inspiring. Can you think of what it was that has shaped you as a leader from your first manager?
Not my first manager, but I did have a manager once who said that I was unmanageable. And that I should probably run my own business. That's probably the only thing I get. No, that's jokes aside, he did actually say that. I don't know whether it's the first manager, but certainly I guess there's been a couple over my lifetime that really stand out. And I guess those are the times that you learn and take things that you then take into your own sort of management roles.
Who else wants to have a go at that one?
I can't even remember who my first manager was actually now, even, but I think I would have said mine's more beliefs that shape from parents, and as you grow up, that definitely shapes your mind, and then you pick up lessons of things that you want to repeat and things that you definitely don't want to repeat throughout your experience. So I think it's very unique then, I would say, rather than being from one person. It's your own lived experience and how you interpret that and how you want to present yourself, what you want to deliver.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it is all the managers that you've ever had over time. You kind of take what you like best and what you didn't like, and then you think, I'm going to incorporate that into my management style. And you kind of have this evolved version of what you've experienced.
I think actually one of my very first memories that made me feel about 6 foot tall was I'd been at Yorkshire Television for about 2.5 weeks, and Tess Alps walked over and she literally went, Karen, how are you getting on? And I just remember that one, oh my God, she knew my name. And that remembering people's names when you're younger, just don't forget. It makes people feel 8 foot tall. So I've really, really tried to always hang on to that and, that feeling.
I don't have anything massively to add. I agree with that, and I agree that probably my management style has been shaped by many people as much as what I haven't responded well to, as much as what I have. So yeah, and I think it's a combination of all those things.
I mean, how much do we really feel in control half the time? I mean, I remember Rachel, who won our Media Leader of the Year last year. I remember talking to her and asking a very similar question. It was fake it until you make it. And no one really knows what they're doing. And how true is that? And how important perhaps is it to make sure that people in the organisation know that we're going to make mistakes, that we're not perfect, we don't have all the answers? Has that changed at all? Is that an approach that anyone takes?
It's super important for people to see that you're human, that everyone makes mistakes, and also that it's not like you stop learning. Like every single job that I do, I'm learning something. That I've got different stakeholders, I've got different circumstances. So not getting rigid, I guess, in your way of thinking is super important, but also other people seeing that you make mistakes.
There's definitely data out there I can't remember the statistic now because I'm completely unprepared for this panel, but something around people who never show vulnerability find it actually much harder to create connections, because all of us have weaknesses and insecurities and feel vulnerable at times, and if you can't communicate that to somebody, you feel not real, because it's just not realistic. So I mean, as much as in our personal lives and very much in a professional, it didn't used to be acceptable, right? It was never like you can't show weakness. You just have to be a money machine who, just cares about growth and all of those things. I think that's completely changed, and that's brilliant. And thank God that's changed. So I think it's very important to show vulnerability and to share failures. It makes everybody feel safe, and also, like, it's really not the end of the world. The whole point is, how do you get back from those failures? Is a much bigger test of leadership than how do you never have them, which is not realistic.
I was going to say exactly the same thing, but really I think the key point is the biggest learning jumps that you often make is through failures or moments where you don't really know what you're doing, and then you understand it and can apply it the next time around. But we are now in a moment where everyone can be a lot more honest about that, which is fantastic.
One thing I think we all could be better at is I don't think we analyse our success as much as we analyse our failure. So if something's gone wrong, you're all over it. You really like paralysis by analysis. When we've won something, or we won a pitch, or we just all go, oh, that was us then. So I just wonder if we should spend a bit more time on going, so what did go right then, and what can we build on? And just like, if you didn't win something, you didn't win it.
Does that mean you're going to take everyone into the office next week and go, OK, let's talk about why I won this, really break this down?
They wouldn't let me.
Anyone else have anything to add to that? And there is also a question over there. If anyone, before we go to that, did anyone want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, just bring people along the journey, whether it's your colleagues or your partners. That it's okay if you're all kind of feeling around in the dark together, because sometimes that's where the great relationships and experiences come out of it, I think.
Okay.
I have a question. It was inspired by one of the Future Leader presentations. I think it was Lee who talked about older people, over 40. I mean, that seems young to me, to be honest. But I wanted to know, how do you motivate people who've been in your business a long time? Because there's obviously only so many seats around the leadership table. How do you harness that experience to make sure that they are still motivated and you don't lose what they've developed over the years?
It's a really good question. I think one of the things that I've learned, especially perhaps it's sort of during pandemic and post, is just enjoy the moment. And I think the news to the young people, you're all going to be working for a very, very long time. Most of us are going to be working for 50 years. There's not many jobs at the top, and just enjoy every year. And, I've now been at DCM for, a great 9 years. I'm a very different person than I was when I started, and yet I've got the same title. So I just think my thing would be slow down, and I have a very wise chairman, Nigel Sharrocks, and his lesson in life is just, are you moving forward? Just ask yourself every day, are you moving forward? And if the end of the week, you move forward a lot or a little bit, if you're moving forward, you're winning. And I just think we should all take that and just slow down a bit and enjoy the moment.
Mine would be understand the individual, because everyone has their own aspirations, things they like, don't like, or what they're trying to achieve, and it's not all about just getting to the kind of the senior management table or whatever. So understanding what it is that they enjoy and what they're trying to do, and support them getting the best out of it, I guess, means that they'll enjoy work a lot more and want to turn up.
Yeah, I would build on that because I'm in my mid-40s, and I think in the past year I've been incredibly impressed by there are so many initiatives that I think that are kind of encouraging and welcoming. I'm on BREM, for example. I'm involved in Media for All as well, on both sides, both the mentoring and mentee, and I think there's a real opening up in the industry to not just focus on like the younger talent within the industry and tap into what somebody like me who does have quite a few years of experience in the industry, what I want to do next and what I have to offer, and that for me is really exciting, really exciting.
One of my old bosses who's been a real inspiration actually has written a book all about kind of that your second coming actually, and what you can do in the second half of your life and transition, and actually how we all need to create a better platform for people of all ages to contribute, actually, which is great. And a lot of it actually is then understanding what, to your point as well, how do we all understand in which environments and what pieces of work do we really get enjoyment and energy from, and if we can put all of the individuals in those positions more, then we all get more out of it and they get more out of it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, I'm going to start to wrap up now because there are drinks outside and we've got a lot of celebrating to do. But we do have one final award to give. We have the overall media leader of the year that we give, and the judges vote on this. And something else that was really important, I don't think probably got mentioned earlier, is when it comes to us putting these shortlists together, we want it to be exactly that. We want it to be a short list. It's very easy sometimes, and I've worked on this side of the fence before, where you add 6, 7, 8 names in because commercially it's going to make sense to do that. But we don't want to do that. So without sounding too fluffy, what we actually want to do is getting on the short list is also a really great achievement to make sure that those successes and what you've achieved that year stands out. So congratulations to not only the winners that we have here today, the other winners in the audience, but everyone shortlisted. Appreciate the support as well. So a massive round of applause for everyone. But I am going to now announce that our overall media... I'm not going to Greg, by the way. This isn't a play for... about that pay rise. Thank you. We're actually grabbing the award here. So, the overall winner, Media Leader of the Year, goes to... Can we do a drum roll? No? Not too much? I genuinely wasn't expecting people to do that. The overall winner, Media Leader of the Year, Karen Stacey. You do all have one. Any final words, Karen? We'll give you the final word before we all go and have a drink.
Oh my goodness, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. Let's go and have a drink.
That is a great final word. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Please join us for a drink. Would you like?
Oh, that's amazing.
Congratulations. Congratulations, everyone.